Hey everyone, welcome back to Liquid Art. Today we're going to be doing this mountain meadow painting. It's all in acrylic and designed for beginners. Everything's going to be step by step in this video, so please paint along at your own speed. We've been doing virtual drinking and painting parties via Zoom as well. If you guys want to get involved, go to our website and you can check it out. So here we go for this painting. You're just going to need a little canvas board or whatever size you want. We've then got a little bit of tape going across. This is just going to be so we've got a really nice smooth straight line. Stick this down. If you don't have one of those though, you just want to draw a line across with a pencil. This is going to be a little bit lower than halfway. You're then going to need 2 paintbrushes, medium and small, and then some kitchen roll, a pot of water, and then here are our acrylic colours on my palette. We've got black, white, yellow, red, blue and sky blue. So just using these primary colours to mix up all of the colours that we need today. So for our first step, you're going to take your big paintbrush, give it a really good wash and a little bit of a dry. You're then going to take some white and some sky blue and mix it together. This is going to make a really nice sky light colour. And we're just going to dab it around here. And what we're going to do is we're going to play about with this. It's quite runny on my canvas as I'm putting it on. We're just going to play about with a few little shapes here, and then we're going to use some white and add in our clouds. So you can leave it a complete sky that's nice and clear if you want to, you just use this colour, or you can do like me and just brush it around just a little bit. Don't worry too much if there's imperfections in the colour. This will actually give it a really nice effect later. So now you're going to wash your brush, and then you're going to take your white paint this time, and you're just going to dab it in these areas that we've left. So don't worry if it goes too far into the blue that we've already done. It's actually going to meet it and give it a really nice little cloud effect for us. And notice I'm just doing like a dabbing motion with this brush. So I'm not like painting all like horizontally or vertically or anything. I'm just dabbing in these areas. So I'm just adding a little bit more white on top. We're going to do a few layers of this. We're going to come back to it later on. So we're just building this up for now. So don't worry too much if it goes like a light blue colour in these corners or away from that blue area. It will work really well later on. So now give that paintbrush a really good wash for me, and we're going to take the small paintbrush this time, just a tiny bit of water, and we're just going to slowly build up. So I'm just going in with a bit of a thicker layer here, so we don't want it to completely blend into the blue, and you can just use your finger just to dab it a little bit. It'll help it blend a little bit more, and also it just gives it a really nice cloud effect. And now I'm going to take a little bit more of that sky blue that we mixed earlier and just gently rub it on with a really nice wet brush. We're just adding a few little bits kind of into more of where we've left this white cloud. I'm now taking just a little bit more of that sky blue colour into the sky part, so where we put the blue on before. This is just going to darken this area out for us. Again, I'm just using my small paintbrush and I'm cutting up some of these clouds a little bit as well. So with a clean brush, you might want to blend that a little bit more before we go on to the next part. So we're going to take more of the dark blue and a little bit of white this time. Literally we need the tiniest amount of that dark blue ever. And we're just going to brush into this kind of section here. This is going to be kind of where the skyline meets and then at the top. And again, I'm just dabbing it in with my finger. It blends it so well. So this is just kind of showing a bit of a shadow behind the clouds. You could do this with a grey if you want to, but I found that it would go a little bit too dark and I wanted to keep it a little bit more natural with that light blue colour. And then I'm just going to rework some of our clouds with the white. We'll then come back to this once we've done a little bit of our foreground, but you're just going to do a little bit more of that for now. So once you're happy with your sky for now, give that paintbrush a really good wash for me, and we're going to work on our mountains. So I'm going to take a little bit of that darker blue, and then I'm going to mix some black in a second, and I'm going to just paint this mountain shape. So as you can see, it wasn't really dark enough, so I'm just going to go back in with a little bit of black in that colour, so blue, black and white. And I'm just going to paint our mountain shape. So I don't want these massive, I want them to be really nice and subtle in the background. And I'm just going to fill this in with my small paintbrush. And then I'm going to do another one here, and then I'm going to do a much darker mountain, but I'm going to use that same colour first, just so that we can have like a bit of a tone to it. So I'm just brushing in the one that I'm going to do black. And now all you're going to do is you're just going to take a little bit of black with this time. We're going to go much darker, and we're going to use this at the top of the mountain that we want to go darker. And you can add a little bit more black in if you want to. And then what we're going to do in a second is we're going to give our paintbrush a really good wash. I'm just going to bring this a tiny bit longer first. And then yes, give it a really good wash, and then we're going to blend between our grey and our black. So all you do for this is do like a nice little circular motion. And it will blend the two colours together for you. Whenever you're using a small area that you want to blend and a small brush, you just do a tiny little circular motion as if you're trying to clean teeth, and it will sort that colour out for you. So we can come back to this bit later on if we want to fine it out at all, but I'm just going to add a little bit more black. And I'm going to make it look like there's a few trees kind of in the background as well. It's just little kind of squiggles with this, just to make the effect of trees. So now give that paintbrush a really good wash for me, and then we're going to go onto the foreground, and you can see the state of this water. You're going to go and need to clean it. So I'm just going to change my water. Now that my water is nice and clean, we are going to get rid of our masking tape. And we might do one more little bit on the sky in a second, and then we'll be doing our foreground. So just pop that out the way, and you should have a really nice clean line all the way across. And now I'm going to take my big paintbrush. We're going to take some white and some yellow, and we want to make like an orangey brown colour. So a tiny bit of red, you'll see this tones way too quickly, so I'm just going to use a little bit more yellow. And if you ever find it's gone too far, just paint on another section of your palette and then just add more white to it. So now I'm just going to paint this just using the edge of my brush here. So I'm going to go all the way along that horizon line. So I want it to almost touch the black. Just be very wary that if the black's still wet, if you mix it in with your yellow, you're going to find that it will just make it go like a horrible grey yellow colour, and we don't want that. So just gently bring that along. I've left a few white gaps, but we are going to fill that in with a greeny colour later on. So now give that paintbrush a really good wash. We're going to take some blue and some yellow and mix it together to make a green. So this is the darker blue, not the sky blue. The sky blue will make it a really kind of fluorescent orange, fluorescent green. We want it to be more of a leafy green. So you're just going to brush this along here now. You may find that you need to hold down part of your canvas if you've got a small one like mine. And we're just going to kind of brush it in the gaps where we left the white. And we can go over a bit to the yellow as well. And we're going to blend it in later. So just brush in the green and then we'll blend afterwards. So now with a clean dry brush, just make sure it's nice and clean, you again just do that little circular motion and it's going to mix that greeny colour and the light yellow. So you might need some more water if you find that it's drying. A little bit more water on the end of your brush will help it blend. And you just want these two just to come together really nicely, so it's a really nice subtle blend between the two colours. I'm just adding a little bit more of a green up here. So I'm doing this really nice and gently. It's nice and wet as well. And now I'm just going to take some more of that green and we're just going to mark out just a few areas that we want it to be a little bit darker. So you can play about with this, you can go straight in with a really dark colour if you want to. I'm just going to go with a little bit more of a white in that green. So I just use a little bit more yellow, a little bit more blue and a tiny bit more white, and I'm just brushing into a few areas and it'll make more of a bluey green. Then once you've done that, you're just going to wash your paintbrush. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little bit more of that kind of darker green, so a little bit more blue in with that green. And we're just going to brush upwards, creating kind of little kind of vine shapes, as if we've got plants kind of growing. So it's going to be really gentle, just little kind of straight lines flicking upwards. And they can be different shapes, different sizes, they can face different ways if you want to, but just imagine you're drawing some blades of grass. We're going to build on this in a bit as well, and you're just going to add a few areas like this one here and one over this side. We'll add some browns in a minute as well, but we're just kind of breaking up this landscape. So I'm just adding a few bits on here, so you're just going to follow it along. I'm just speeding it up just a tiny bit so you guys can paint at your own speed. And I'm just brushing in these little grassy bits and then we're going to build up on them in a bit. So you can do as much or as little as you want with this. I'm just using that dark green colour for now. So once you've done that, you're going to mix yourself a brown. So brown is using yellow, red and blue. So all the primary colours mixed together will make a brown. And you'll notice this bit didn't show up very well on this part, so I'm going to remix that colour in just a second. And we're just kind of placing it just a little bit further away, so kind of where it's more in those yellowy tones. We want to mix this little brown colour, and again we're just going to do these kind of reefs and these like little grassy sections. So a little bit of brown, remember that's all the primary colours mixed together. You might want to add some white or black into it as well, depending on how dark or light you want it. And we're just brushing this section in. So just in these few little areas, and then you can kind of dab a little bit over in the kind of background here. And now make sure that paintbrush ears are really nice and clean. We're going to take some white and we're going to go back in with our clouds. So now that this has had time to dry, this white should stand out a lot more. So just really carefully dab on this white and you can bring it over your sky a little bit more. Being that it's more opaque now that it's dry, will really make these clouds pop out. I'm just dabbing a few little bits on. So again, you can do as much or as little as you like with this bit. I really like making these clouds like super white in areas. It really makes them just look a lot stronger, a little bit more dramatic as well, which we love when it comes to painting. So I'm just doing a little bit more. Again, you can just use your finger just to blend it out a little bit as well if you want to. So I'm just speeding up through these little bits of the cloud. Again, all I'm doing is using that little bit of white and then just blending it in. So again, blending, you can just use like a really clean paintbrush and it'll let it blend in for you. Just be really conscious of the background that we've created in our mountains. You don't want to kind of brush the clouds over the top of that. And you can just cut into a few of the blue sections as well if you want to. So once you've done with that, we're now going to go back into our foreground and hopefully this has had a chance to dry a little bit. So I'm just going to use some of that dark green colour and just brushing it on top of the brown bits that I've done here. Again, we're making this look like it's grass, so you're just going to flick this up and down. And a few more of these long grass bits over on this side of the painting. You can put these wherever you like, by the way. You can kind of put them going across the middle, but this kind of shows like there's a bit of an opening in the grass, and that's what I really wanted. So now for this next bit, we're going to mix a much darker green. So I'm going to use some black in with my green, mix it together. And we're just going to drop this in a few little areas. Again, you're just going for that little grassy shape, so you just want them to stick up just a tiny bit. And you're just going over the top of what we've already done, so just be really careful that you don't cover them up completely. You want to still be able to see those colours coming through. And in the foreground, you're just going to try and make these a little bit longer, these kind of grassy bits, and just follow them along. So once you're done with your grassy bits, we're then going to go on to a little bit of flowers. So we're just going to use a tiny bit of white. You can use either end of your brush to do this if you want to. You can kind of use like the end of the wooden bit. That will make some kind of small circular bits. Or you can just dab them on with the end of your brush like I am. Now you might want your green bits to dry a little bit first. If you have a hairdryer near you, maybe you want to just dry it off quickly, or it will dry just in a few more minutes, just dabbing these white little bits on. And you can do as much or as little as you like. You can kind of cluster them together, you can space them out. This is just kind of looking like there's like a few little flowers going on. You could drop these in another colour as well, just as long as they don't blend or contrast with the other colours too much. So you should now have quite a full range of flowers going on, and you're just dabbing this forward into that kind of foreground and stuff here. Now if you want to, what you can do is you can do a little bit of the splatter effect if you want. You might want to actually cover up kind of your sky just with a little bit of clean kitchen roll, just so that you don't splatter on top of that if you don't want to. And all I did was I took my small brush in my right hand, in my weaker hand, sorry, so my left hand, and made it really nice and runny, and then I just tapped it with my other brush. So if it's nice and runny, it should splatter off and it will give you a really nice pollen effect. If you've done one of our kind of wildflower paintings before, we've done that. So it just gives it a really nice effect, but you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And kind of less will be more with this as well. You don't want to kind of throw these flowers everywhere. Just keep them nice and neat as they are. If you find you've gone too far with anything as well, you can kind of add a few of the green roofs back in if you want to. If not, just leave it as is. And now for our last little bit, we're just going to add some birds into our sky. So I'm just going to take a little bit of runny black here and just really gently, I'm just going to draw like a little V shape for our bird here, and then I'm going to do a little one up here. So it's just two little V's, and make sure they're nice and curved out so that it looks like they have little wings, and that's going to be our birds in the sky. So I really hope you guys have all enjoyed this painting. We'd love to see how you did, so please share and tag RB Liquid Art on Instagram or Facebook. We'd love to see how you did. There is a Facebook group as well if you want to join it. And if you have any new painting suggestions, please throw them our way, and we'd love to see you again soon. So come and join our virtual drinking and painting parties. They're normally at 7:30 on a Friday or Thursday night. They're just a bit of a laugh. We have loads of different paintings, all designed for beginners, and you can come and drink and paint with us. So yeah, see you soon. Love to see how you did.